Welcome back, my friends. Casual Duelist here, and today's deck is a challenge, and that was brought to us by Voltajiggles, the Unnameable. You wanted to see whether or not I could make Blackwings. We had a little bit of a back and forth. You wanted an anime style, which is awesome. And then I asked 5Ds or the Arc 5. And the big difference here is whether or not I get to play some Assault Wing characters, which are mostly just in the extra deck, if we're being honest. And again, you voted for the 5Ds. So as part of what I think an anime style challenge should incorporate, I did not use any extra deck cards that are not synchro. Because again, during the 5Ds time period, we didn't have Pendulum Xyz, we didn't have Links, so I just went straight synchro. I also tried to stick away from using too many cards that were used by other players in the show. You guys are gonna see Go-Yo Guardian in here, and I know that that's more like the Police Force deck, and yeah, so it's just like one tech card. I wanted to stick away from using cards from the other signers. And again, I needed to kind of base it somewhere. So without further ado, keep in mind this is a casual build. This is for messing around. This one isn't really for taking even to like a locals. But you might do something at a locals. I'm not sure. So let's get that deck list. So real quick, we are running 2 copies, Blackwing Oster the South Wind. Single copy Blizzard, the Far North. 3 copies Bora the Spear. We are going to be running 3 copies Gale the Whirlwind. 2 copies Harmattan the Dust. 2 copies Kalut the Moonshadow. 2 copies Chris the Crack of Dawn. Single copy Orochi. Triple copy Simoon the Poison Wind. And a single Zephyros the Elite. Moving over to the spells, we are using 3 copies of Lure of Darkness. Obvious 3 copies of Black Whirlwind. Single copy Dark Eruption. Single copy Dark Hole. Single copy Monster Reborn. And single copy Raigeki. And then moving over to the last few cards, the traps, we are going to be using a double copy Black Sonic. Single copy Delta Crow Anti-Reverse. 2 copies Icarus Attack, and then 3 Solemn Strikes. And again, maybe I shouldn't have included these, and I could have had some more shenanigans, but I did want this to be semi-playable, so I had to make a concession somewhere. For our extra deck, we do have some non-Blackwings in here. We are going to be using a single of Ally of Justice Cataster, single copy Armades, Keeper of the Boundaries, 1 copy Beals of the Diabolic Dragons. We're going to be using a single of the Black Feather Dark Rage Dragon, and I don't think that foil is going to show the name proper. We are going to be using 2 copies Original Armor Master, 2 copies Full Armor Master. That's going to be our boss. We're going to maximize at 3 copies No Thung, the Starlight. We are going to be using 2 copies Blackwing Tamer, Obsidian Hawk Joe, the single copy Go-Yo Guardian, and then single copy Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, because let's face it, I kind of love the card. So you guys let me know how I did. This was just a kind of a fun, casual, anime-styled challenge. And if you were just here for the deck list, thank you for watching. If you're not already and this helped you, consider subscribing to the channel. Let your friends know. The growth has been outstanding, and I hope that we can keep that up. But if you were just here for the list, you guys are free to go. Real quick, there will not be a combos video for this. Most of this is pretty straightforward and follows along the lines of my last Blackwing video. I don't believe I had a combos video for that either. But you guys are good to go. Have a great day. Everybody else, let's talk over the cards real quick, because some of these I know by heart, and some of these I had to reread a few times before I added them in. So again, we're using Oster the South Wind. So this is one of the monsters that can never be special summoned. When this card is normal summoned, you can target 1 banished level 4 lower Blackwing monster. Special summon it in defense mode. You can banish this card from the graveyard to activate one of the following effects. So you can either place place black feather counters on a black-winged dragon that you control equal to the number of cards your opponent controls, or the one that we're actually interested in, place a wedge counter on each face-up monster your opponent controls that does not currently have one. Wedge counters come in handy with our Armor Master cards. And again, since we are running the Allures of Darkness, Oster will be able to kind of pull a Blizzard technique from our Banish pile. So, very cool. We do run the single copy of Blizzard. He's going to be 2 stars. I should have said the last one was a 4-star tuner. This one's a 2-star tuner. When this one is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower Blackwing from the discard in face-up defense. And again, just like Oster, this one cannot be special summoned, so not terrible. Third up is Bora the Spear. We're running 3 copies here. If you control a Blackwing monster with a different name, you may special summon this one from your hand. And during battle, when this attacks a defense monster that's defense is lower than the attack, you can inflict piercing damage. So that'll help us overrun some things. We are going to be using 3 copies of Gale, one of the best tuners ever created, not just within the Blackwing deck. So 3-star tuner, and if you control a Blackwing monster other than Gale, you can special summon this from the hand, and then once per turn, you can have the attack and defense of a face-up monster the opponent controls. So again, this will let us take it to more aggressive battle variation, rather than playing too many techs. And again, just go ahead, summon it, use the effect, and then go straight into your synchro summon. Never pass up the chance to half something. Even if you're like, well, it's not going to be that much damage, it's still going to be more, and sometimes those last few points matter. We are using the 2 copies Harmat in the Dust. If you control a Blackwing monster other than same name, special summon this card from the hand. You can only summon this character once per turn this way. This is why he's at 2. When this is normal or special summoned, you can target one other Blackwing monster you control and increase the card's level by 1. Increase this card's level by that monster's. Sorry, I misspoke. And again, if you're trying to do some tech synchros, especially when we're talking about Gale, you can play this, get the 3 stars. This becomes 5. 5 and 3 gets you up to 8. And again, Harmattan, very tricky this way. So very cool. I am running 2 copies of Kalut this time. Again, this is a little more aggressive, more battle-oriented version. I believe last time we only ran a single copy because it's still very searchable. Now, the way that this one works is when a Blackwing monster you control is attacked or does the attacking, and it doesn't need to actually battle a monster. This could be a direct attack. You can send this card from the hand to the discard pile to the end of the damage step, have that monster gain the 1400 stat until the end of the phase, or until the end phase. So again, we could drop this very similar to other battle traps like Honest. It's just very cool. And again, we can also summon this too if we need 3 stars generically non-tuner. So that's also good. Chris, the Crack of Dawn, one of the better cards in the deck. If you control a Blackwing other than Chris, you can special summon this from your hand. Only once per turn can you do that. And then once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by spell trap effects. And again, if we wanted to play something more oriented towards more dark holes and playing definitely to full Armor Master, trying to loop it on a single turn, using these guys, adding to more dark holes, adding torrential tributes, allow you to disrupt the field even further. We are only running the single Orochi. He's a great 1-star tuner. If you control a Blackwing other than same name, of course, special summon it, again, once per turn this way. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target 1 monster on the field, changing its battle position. So again, we can kind of coax something out of defense, or something that's still a little too large. We can go ahead and make it sit into defense and then beat it up that way. So very good. Simoon, again, we maximized at 3. This guy really is a great starter for us. So if we control no monsters and we have this in our hand, we could banish 1 other Blackwing in our hand to place 1 Black Whirlwind from our deck face up into our spell trap zones. And then, in that instance, we have to decide whether to send this card to the graveyard or immediately normal summon it without tributing, which again will allow us to get the Black Whirlwind search immediately. And then, of course, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the remainder of the turn except Dark Attribute. You may only use this effect once per turn, and during the end phase, send that black whirlwind that you placed by this card's effect to the graveyard. And then when you do that, take 1,000 damage. Of course, if you have a way to remove that card from the field before the end phase, let's say you use Zephyros from the discard pile to bounce it. Again, you can avoid taking the 1,000 damage because the card is no longer on the field, having been placed by this effect. So, very cool. And of course, Zephyros, just a great 4-star. If this card's in the graveyard, you can return one face-up card you control to the hand, special summon it. When you do, take 400 damage, and each player may only use this effect once per duel. So again, with a lot of the generically jump monsters like Bora and Gale, we can immediately just resummon them back to the field as a special summon. This helps us build our board advantage. And again, we can also utilize the Black Whirlwind. So depending on when you've got that set up, depends on when you will use that. So very cool. The 3 Allures of Darkness, I think everybody knows this. Draw 2 cards, then banish the dark from your hand. And if you couldn't, send your hand to the graveyard. Black Whirlwind, when a Blackwing monster is normal summoned to the field, you may add 1 Blackwing monster from the deck with less attack than that monster. Yes, this effect can stack. So if you have multiples, let's say you had one in your opening hand, but you also had Simoon, you could play one, play the Simoon, get 1 from the deck, and then on Simoon, we will go ahead and dig 2 cards for that. And then, of course, if you can, utilizing with Nothung, with the extra normal summons, you can get even more cards. So one of the tech cards that maybe not everybody knows was Dark Eruption. So when we use this one, we target a dark with a 1,500 or less attack at the discard pile and add that back to our hand. This will allow us to play Blizzard more often, Oster more often. It'll help us with the smaller characters like Orochi. And unlike using the, I forget what it was called now, the Blackwings have one. It's Against the Wind. Would allow you to bring back any Blackwing to your hand, but then you have to take the attack power to the face. Most of what we're playing is going to fall into the smaller range. Gale, Kalute, all the great cards. And so Dark Eruption, I felt, was a better health point friendly version. Again, our one-ofs, we got Dark Hole, self-explanatory, destroy all the monsters. Monster Reborn, self-explanatory, bring back a monster from one of the discard piles. Raigeki, self-explanatory, blow up your opponent's monsters. Going to the traps, it gets a little bit tricky, because not everybody knows these 2. So let's start with the Black Sonic. When an opponent's monster declares an attack on a Blackwing monster that you control, you banish all face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls. So that's one of the Mirror Force cards. I can't remember if it's not Quaking. I don't think it's Storming. It's one of them. Additionally, though, if you control exactly 3 Blackwing monsters and no other monsters, you can activate this from the hand, which is actually what makes this so cool for this deck, and especially since we needed to play more anime-styled, I felt that bringing out at least a couple of the Blackwing archetypal traps would fit the build proper. And again, banishing is good. I also don't think that this is a targeting effect, because it doesn't say target. So cards that have a targeting protection still fall to this, which is great. And then, of course, we got the 1 Delty Crow anti-reverse. And if you control a Blackwing monster, you can destroy all set spell traps your opponent controls. And if you have exactly 3, you can activate this from the hand. So again, if your opponent's playing something more back row heavy, especially if you're up against something like, let's say, Altergeist, which is very control-oriented, this is actually a pretty cool sneak tactic. If you have it, though, and you'd rather play it, go ahead and just put Feather Duster in there. It'll kill even the face-ups, so you'll be able to take care of field spells at the same time. But again, I know that that's still not as common a card. Not that this is. We do have the double Icarus attack, so this allows us to tribute 1 of our Wing Beast monsters, which we have no problem summoning in excess. And then we get to target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. So again, this is really going to help us with like field spell-oriented decks. And again, anything that's got some more back row to it. Paleo Frog, will be able to take care of the Paleozoics while they're still set. Obviously, when they activate one, they're still going to swarm, and they're no longer treated as being a trap card. So we could still hit them. This doesn't say that we have to destroy spell traps. It's just 2 cards. So again, monsters too. And then of course, strike. Pay the 1,500 when your opponent summons a monster or monsters for a special summon, or goes to activate a monster effect, and this will help us out against all the hand traps out there, and of course anything that swarms out. So very good, very good. There's our main deck. Let's get back to that extra deck. Catastor, just a good 5-star. When it battles a non-dark, destroy the monster without damage calculation. Armades, keeper of the boundaries. I'm having a problem with English tonight. Another good 5-star, generic again. If it is attacked or does the attacking, the opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. So if you are worried about an opponent's back row, or worried about hand trap monsters like the battle hand traps like Honest again, Armades stops that. So not even a big deal. Beals of the Diabolic Dragons. This was like really cool. We got these with the legendary deck, hero decks. I believe it was with the Nordic gods. So this one is going to be a little specific. So it's going to want a Dark Tuner. Again, we got that covered. And then, of course, non-tuners. Got a nice 8-star out of it. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. And if you take damage from an attack involving this card, or from an opponent's card effect, this card will actually permanently gain attack power equal to the damage that you took. So this guy can get frighteningly tall, frighteningly fast, and is actually kind of an out to Red Eyes Dragoon. Because again, while it can't be killed by battle or the card effects, Dragoon does have an effect where he wants to blow up cards and then deal you damage or deal damage when it negates and destroys a card. And again, Beals being immune to destruction, we can either get him big to where he gets a Kishido Spirit type or Kaiser Glider-esque effect out of it, or again, we just get way too big, too quick for our opponent. The Black Feather Dark Rage Dragon, good 8-star here. 1 tuner, non-tuners, so very generic. Once per turn, when you take damage, you can send up to 5 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. And then if there were any monsters sent this way, this card gains 400 attack. Now, it's not 400 attack per, so it's a little limited. But again, this is a casual anime-style deck. And I like this version of Blackwing Dragon better. So we do have the double Armor Master. The original Armor Master requires Blackwing Tuner plus non-tuners. This card cannot be destroyed by battle, and I take no battle damage from battles involving it. If it attacks a monster, I can place a wedge counter on it. However, Oster was also out there handing out those wedge counters. And then remove all wedge counters on the opponent's monster to reduce the attack and defense of each monster that had wedge counters on it to 0 until the end phase. So again, Oster leading into an Armor Master play, which can be done off of just playing it for Kalute and then going straight into your synchro. Can actually, well, no, can't, because you have to remove Oster, but you would be able to generate an effect where Armor Master, no, you could, because you'd synchronize and then banish it. Armor Master would then be able to take his Blackwing friends as Legion and just go ahead and decimate your opponent's front lines. We do use the full Armor Master. He is really the boss of this deck. He is 10 stars. We are going to again require Blackwing Tuner plus non-tuners. Unaffected by other card effects. Now this is crazy. This was something that was actually asked of me. How do you get rid of this card? How do you beat it? Well, you don't beat it with Layer of Darkness, because Layer of Darkness is a card effect allowing it to be tributed, and is the reason that it stops it from being tributed. Otherwise, if it was on your own side, you could use cards like Deck Devastation Virus, Grit and Grave Virus, Epidemic Eradicator Virus. Any of those kind of cards that actually require it as cost could do it. but because Layer of Darkness's effect is what's actually going to allow it to be, it's no longer just cost, it's part effect. Best ways to get rid of him are usually just going at him physically and overpowering him, or kaiju cards, honestly, because the tribute portion of that is not part of the effect. It is the cost and the game mechanic at play, and that's why you're allowed to do that. Back to his effect. Each time an opponent's monster activates its effect, give it a wedge counter. They can only hold one. After that, it resolves. Once per turn, you can target a monster your opponent controls that has wedge counter. Take it. Once per turn during your end phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field that have a wedge counter. Now, unfortunately, that is during the end phase. So again, you have to be pretty battle locked or something for Oster play to not work here. But it is what it is, my friends. We do use No Thung. No Thung is the most utility 6 that I could put in here at the moment. Again, very generic. When this is special summoned, we immediately inflict 800 points to the opponent. And then one face-up monster that they control loses 800 attack and defense. Of course, I do believe that this is a targeting effect. You can only use this effect once per turn. And then during the main phase, you can normal summon a Blackwing in addition to your normal summoner set, gaining that extra summon only once per turn. So again, he's really going to help let us rip into more of our Black Whirlwind plays. And then we do have the Hawk, and Joe Hawk. Dude is 7 stars. He does require it all to be Blackwings, so tuner and non-tuners. You can target a level 5 or higher winged beast type in the graveyard. Special summon it during either player's turn when an opponent activates a card or effect that targets only this card, or when your opponent targets this card for an attack. You can target one other Blackwing monster that you control that would be considered an appropriate target. And then that attack or card effect is now going to target the new target. Each effect of this is a hard once per turn, but this will allow us to recur back some of our synchros. So again, if we used No Thung and we used our Orochi, we could create this and then actually generate No Thung back. Again, we're only going to get the burn and the extra normal summon once per turn, but this is another great way of trying to press some advantage quicker. Goyo Guardian, very cool. When it destroys a monster by battle, sends it to the graveyard. You can then special summon that back to your side of the field and face up defense. Generic 6 and 2800. So it's actually a very strong level 6 when Synchro is just basing off of base stats. So very cool card. And again, I do remember that this was used by Officer Trudge, I believe it was. And maybe I shouldn't have included it, but I like it, so I did. And then last but not least, Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Again, this one's kind of iffy. But it is a great 9-star and does require you to use 3 monsters at minimum to make it, which this deck can do just excellently, just very rapidly. When this card is synchro summoned, you can banish up to 1 card from each of the 3 following places: your opponent's hand, your opponent's field, and your opponent's graveyard. The card in hand would be chosen at random. And again, this is not considered a once per turn effect. So if you could actually spam enough cards to continually loop summon Trishulas, you could take out a lot of effects. So we're already at over 20 minutes. I don't want to even try a test hand with as organized as this is. No, there will not be a combos video. If you did watch this all the way through, again, I thank you. And I'll see you guys here in a day or two. I think I'm going to do card of the week on Saturday. And then we'll talk a little more about Discord on Sunday. So I will see you guys in the next video. You guys have a great day.